month ago we informed you that Alexander Usyk and his team had done their side of the deal with the Saudi Arabians. But it was Tyson Fury and his side of the deal that was holding everything up. We've heard from Eddie Hearn this week, who says that because it's not Anthony Joshua, there's not enough money in Saudi Arabia for a fight like Tyson Fury versus Alexander Usyk. And now it's looking likely, if at all it does happen, that Wembley will be the destination. I don't know about you, Gareth, but it's just going on a little bit far too long for me. I don't understand what the hold-up is. At the end of the day, we all know what direction we're going in. We know that we want the undisputed heavyweight championship of the world. Alexander Usyk seems like he's in. What's Tyson Fury playing at? Why can't he sign on the dotted line and get this deal over the line and get the super fight of the century on?
Well, I think there's a lot of things have been said this week. We'll come to the Eddie Hearn comments about it, I think, in a minute. But when they were doing the deal for April the 29th in Saudi Arabia, both Tyson Fury and Alexander Usyk's teams were doing the deal separately.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, that hasn't worked, and I don't think the money is there that they want.
It worked for Usyk, though.
It worked for Usyk, but it hasn't worked for Tyson Fury for whatever reason. And there could be myriad reasons why. I think at the same time that April 29th was the due date, if you like, for the Middle East, I know that they'd put this penciled in date. I mean, as you said, I knew about it weeks ago. They'd penciled in and reserved Wembley for April the 29th. The anniversary, of course, in 2017 of Anthony Joshua and Vladimir Klitschko. An amazing occasion and an amazing night. I'm pretty sure we were both there, weren't we?
Yeah.
I thought, were we doing the broadcast? We probably were.
We weren't.
We
were not. We were not, but we were there in attendance.
We were doing something or other. We were working anyway, and it was a brilliant night. And I remember it stayed. I remember going to see Anthony Joshua the day after. Anyway, in central London, he rented a huge mansion. It was a brilliant week anyway, and a brilliant outcome. Now, it's pretty obvious that they are fighting over 50-50 money rights. It's Usyk that wants more money.
In what way?
He wants 50-50 on the split,
which is absolutely fair.
No, I agree with you. I think this fight needs to happen. It's going to be an absolute disaster if they don't just get over the line with this. We know there were filmic pictures of Frank Warren with Alexander Usyk at the Arsenal-Man City game on Wednesday night, weren't there?
Yeah.
They were together. They've definitely been around each other this week. Krasiuk spoke to a couple of outlets. I haven't spoken to him personally this week, but I know they want 50-50. And if they don't get 50-50, they say they're not taking it. I don't like that stance either. I think 55-45 would have been okay. But if they are refusing to budge, I agree with you. Sign the deal, Tyson Fury, Frank Warren, George Warren. Get us to Wembley, 95 to 100,000 people. Record event. First time in the four-belt era we'll have had all the belts on the line. First time since Lennox Lewis 20 years ago, more than 20 years ago, we've had the undisputed title. It's in the UK. Yeah. Come on, guys. If we miss this, it's not going to be a good year. I mean, I remember saying last year, I'm looking forward to getting over last year and into this year, for this very reason that we were going to get these fights. The resurgence, the rebuilding of Anthony Joshua, the undisputed title fight, Joyce against the winner, Deontay Wilder returning. But at the moment, the cupboard is a little bit bare without this fight being announced, and it's a bit worrying. Frank Warren was on last night when David Adelaide resumed his career with another, what was it, second round knockout? Yeah. And Mark Chamberlain looked good, and Royston Barney Smith as well. Frank Warren said last night on the BT Sport broadcast that they're a week away from announcing it, that they're going to get it over the line. But I'd like to have known what the problem was, because it wasn't asked on the show.
If it doesn't get over the line, is this on Tyson Fury?
Yeah, you've got to blame. You've got to lay it at the foot of Tyson Fury and his handlers for not getting it over the line. If Usyk wants 50-50 and he's got 3 of the belts, don't make the argument that Tyson Fury's the bigger draw in the UK. Just split the pot. End of. The promoters take their bit. It'll do over 1 million in pay-per-view buys. It's a proper heavyweight fight. It's a fistic chess match.
Do you think it does 1 million pay-per-view buys?
I think it will. Oh, I do. The only thing I would have said, that if you'd waited, if that Netflix series on Tyson Fury had come out a bit sooner rather than July, and it had gone out to the 500 million that watch Netflix, it might have been a bigger marketing tool and it might have come out a bit quicker. And it might have been a bigger fight. But yeah, I think it does do 1 million. I really do. I really do. Do you not?
Listen, it's big. If it does 1 million pay-per-view buys, then absolutely that is it's a huge fight. But the way that boxing and the landscape of boxing is at the moment, obviously we're not seeing a lot of fights that are being made that are grossing 1 million pay-per-view buys. Listen, in my ideal world, in this little echo chamber that I live in, I would love to think that the heavyweight championship of the world, the undisputed heavyweight championship of the world between the two best heavyweights on the planet, would do at least 1 million pay-per-view buys. I don't know. I don't know whether it resonates with the mainstream. I don't know if it crosses over.
I think Tyson Fury's really crossed over to the mainstream.
Listen, I understand that, and I really hope that it does, but he hasn't done anywhere near 1 million pay-per-view buys as of yet, Tyson Fury, in the fights that he's had previously, even the ones that he's done with Deontay Wilder. Now, granted, they were in America. They were on a different time zone. Here in the UK, he hasn't done anywhere near 1 million pay-per-view buys. The only person that's done that is, of course, Anthony Joshua. So therefore, the comments that I heard this week from Eddie Hearn when he's talking about money in Saudi Arabia and it not involving Anthony Joshua, listen, he's Anthony Joshua's guy. I get it. But I can also understand the angle that he's coming from, because Anthony Joshua still is a commercial colossus. And he has been able to pull the money out of the Middle East, hasn't he, in order to get his fights over the line.
He is a commercial colossus, but I'll say one thing. When we did the open day with him 9 days ago now, as it was, and it was fantastic to be around Anthony. I mean, he's a great character and he's a great story. He's fascinating to watch. There was an understated nature about the media day that didn't feel like
an Anthony Joshua fight week.
No. Or a fight, or an announcement event. There was something underwhelming about it in a way. I don't know if it's because it's Jermaine Franklin as the opponent. I don't know if it's because he's moved from the Sky platform and it's a DAZN build, which is a different type of build. But I don't know. There was something, I won't say missing, but it didn't feel like there were fireworks. And obviously, he's not around in this environment. He's very much under closed, kind of in a hangar in Dallas, Texas, and rebuilding. And he's got to beat this guy who's, close to ranked 30 in the world. And it's a step down for a guy that's had 12 world title fights in a row. Look, Eddie may be right, but he's also a marketeer. And if it was his guy fighting Usyk in Saudi Arabia, which it was last year, it was a big event. We were there. It was a privilege and a pleasure to be a part of it. But boxing's a weird algorithm. Some fights seem to gather momentum in the last few days and everybody's talking about it, and you do your straw poll, don't you?
Yeah.
And some fights don't seem to garner. It's like last year with the all-women's event in the O2 Arena. That was banging by the time it happened and full.
Yeah. But it's not going to be a good look for Tyson Fury if the fight with Usyk doesn't get over the line. The fight with AJ at the back end of last year didn't get over the line. There's a common denominator in all of these types of conversations, and people, fight fans, and it is a tribal world at the moment out there, they will be pointing the finger towards Tyson Fury. The best heavyweight on the planet needs to get the best fights on the planet over the line. And I think this is on him if this does not happen.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I can't argue with that. It's going to be an absolute disaster for boxing if this fight doesn't happen. It really has to happen. How can we not have the two undefeated heavyweights in the world meeting each other for all the belts? I mean, forget the money,
It's easy for us to say forget the money. I mean, it's them guys getting paid. But what you're saying is there's a pot, 50-50 it, yeah? Is what you're saying?
Yeah, there's massive jeopardy for both men. Someone's record's going to go, and if they draw, they'll fight again. But come on, this is a great moment in time.